She says I can't forbid her from seeing him.
What is it we do here in the Red Pill? Well, we swap notes. Now, I'm sure a lot of you people have heard all kinds of different stories about us, but I'm here to give you a glimpse inside the locker room. So here we're going to be discussing field reports from a few years back with brand new guys who are trying to learn the strategies that we talk about. Who am I? I'm Ryan. I used to be one of these brand new guys, and I, like you, was pretty good at women, pretty good at relationships, but I wasn't great at it. Hard times hit, things got tough, and it turns out there is nowhere for a man to go nowadays that actually wants him to succeed, to thrive, or to get better at what he does and improve his lot in life. So, like most guys would do, I took it upon myself. I found a bunch of guys in the same boat as me, and we built a set of working strategies based on the experiences of hundreds of thousands of men. Just like you, and just like me. So what is the Red Pill? It's men swapping notes, iron sharpening iron. Welcome to the locker room.
So my wife escalated the situation I've been having with that Mr. New Age guy much quicker than I anticipated. When she comes home today and said they have a lunch together. My thought at first was do nothing, but now I can't. So I set a boundary here and told her that after what she said about this guy, it was not okay to go on a lunch date with him. I mean, she tried to hamster about, but he's so much older and he's in a relationship now. I didn't see him when he was single and blah, 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 blah. I tried to remain calm and I managed okay. And I repeated that this was a boundary for me. And she caused it herself. And after all those things she said about him previously. The hard thing now is for me not to fall back into her frame, of course, while still retaining this boundary. And honestly, I think we're over. She's just going to keep doing things like this until I kill the puppy. She doesn't have enough respect for me, but we'll see. I haven't really set boundaries before, so maybe something good will come out of it after all. And as an update, I just got a text from the wife saying, "Thanks a lot. I've been stressed and pushed around lately, and this is precisely what I needed after a long work week, half sick. You cannot forbid me from meeting people. But if you want, I can tell you, and you can come along. You don't see Mr. New Age guy on your own anymore then as well. Same rights for both." Sounds like something a teenager would write. I feel like her father now saying, "You're not supposed to see him. He's not good for you," or something like that. I guess I came out as mate guarding anyway, but it just feels better to say this straight to her than pretend it's all fine and feel like a cuck. A couple terms before we get started. I said calmly. This one, it's constantly in field reports, and it's a huge tell. When somebody says, and in this case he did admit he tried to remain calm, but a lot of guys will say, "I said this stoically," or "I said this calmly." And that adjective is totally unnecessary. All that says, actually a good example of this is when you're on a date with a girl and she looks at the guy and says, "You know I'm not going to sleep with you tonight, right?" So when a guy hears this, all he knows is that she was thinking about sleeping with him, and now she's trying to let him know that she's not like the other girls. In this case, the guy absolutely wasn't calm, he wasn't stoic, and he completely was angry, but he was trying to pretend like he wasn't. It's an incongruent thing, and I guarantee you, if you're sitting there watching him have this conversation with his body language, he's absolutely screaming about him not being calm or okay. Mate guarding. Mate guarding is a nuanced failed strategy, depending on how it works, but here's how it generally goes. A girl will do something that automatically gets a guy's instinctual need to mate guard or like to defend his woman from an outside threat, to which point he starts laying down these boundaries, usually in the form of ultimatums. That usually happens when you'll see a guy with a girl and she starts flirting with other men, she starts hiding her phone, all kinds of very obvious signals that lets him know that even if she isn't cheating, that she's making herself available for some guy to pick up the ball and run with it. So while mate guarding is a very natural thing, When we refer to it in a red-pilled context, it's usually in the form of ultimatums or beta male signaling. It's the idea that I can't make you act right, so I'm going to tell you to act right or else. Now, the problem with this, and I'm sure you've heard it before in my other videos, is that girls have an innate skepticism bias, so they will automatically call the bluff on this. A good example you're going to see is the first time a guy will mention a boundary about her hanging out with some guys that he doesn't trust or doesn't trust her, that she'll assume that he's being controlling and automatically claps back at him. And right there, you know all you need to know. She wants to be able to find a better option with impunity. Boundaries. This one, it's probably the most important description and important concept you'll have to learn within the red pill. This guy is setting a very straightforward boundary. I don't like you being around men that have the potential for impropriety, I guess is the best way to put it. Most girls who are head over heels for a guy aren't having lunch with other dudes. They aren't going on dates with other dudes. They aren't texting other dudes. They aren't hiding their conversations from him. That whole "you can come and join us at dinner" thing, it's probably just a guy's. The idea is expecting the guy to kind of walk back from this as a weird shaming attempt, going, no, no, no. You can do what you want. I trust you. And that's the ultimate goal that a girl would want, especially a thought. Wants a guy to trust her enough that she can do whatever she wants and have it just happen. Luckily, it won't be her fault anyway, so he can still trust her. And a girl will believe this in her heart of hearts, which is the funny thing. That self-delusion is the best way to manipulate others. Welcome to the human condition. I wish I could put a positive spin on it, but it is what it is. My advice for this guy, well, that depends. This can go from one of two situations. The first one is this is actually just a guy and they are having lunch and it is just no big deal. This would happen, obviously, if somebody's working with coworkers and they have lunches together, or it's a cousin, a brother. There's a lot of situations where it makes sense for people to be having, lunch together and having it not be a big deal. Having said that, if it's a work one, chances are they do it as group functions, not so much as one-on-one. Most girls, when they find their hypergamous best option, are absolutely terrified. And I don't mean this as in like a manipulative thing. I mean, they really are heads over heels for a guy, and they don't want to do anything that could mess with that. They don't want to grab lunch with another guy because they would rather grab lunch with their man. They would rather talk with their man while they're eating lunch with girls' friends. That kind of thing. Now, the other option here is she's doing just as you think she's doing. She's looking to jump ship. She's looking to see about her best option, but she's afraid of doing it until she has everything lined up. Like I said before, girls hate risk. Now, I don't know which way it's going to be for this guy, but his boundary is he just talks too much. And this is going to segue into so what's in it for you? Boundary enforcement, and this is the part you need to take from it. It's not a talking thing, it's a doing thing. Once he said, I don't date girls who have lunch with that guy, leave it there, don't say any more, don't talk. Don't respond to these texts. In fact, if this is important, it's a face-to-face conversation. I wouldn't have even read it, let alone try to interpret it. All you had to do is just say, I don't date girls that have lunch with strange men. Now, if she decides to go have lunch with them, well, she just called your boundary. And if you made it, you better be ready to enforce it. Obviously, if you're dating, that just means dump the girl and leave it there. If you have a family, if you have a wife, if you have kids, obviously there's going to be more planning involved here. So being checked out of the marriage doesn't mean automatically leaving it. This could be the case of, and if this is a strong enough boundary for you, automatically, once you go as that lunch, you start looking at your other options. You start talking to lawyers, you start documenting the childcare, doing whatever it is you have to do. But if you're going to set these boundaries, you have to assume that they're going to be enforced. And this is the other lesson for guys here. Don't set a boundary unless you're willing to. If you're not willing to do anything, if she's grabbing lunch with a coworker or, you know, Mr. New Age guy, then you shouldn't have said anything, because she's just going to call your bluff on it. And now this degrades your ability to enforce boundaries down the line, because you've already muddled the waters on what's a boundary and what isn't. So you really need to search deep and understand, what is it you're willing to put up with and what is it you're not? Because you want to make sure when you pull the trigger on these things, you better make sure you're ready for it. An alternative for this? Well, I mean, there's a few alternatives, but we'll start early and we'll kind of carry through at every different decision gate. The first thing is, while you're dating this girl, you're going to look for any signs of this kind of thoughtery happening, and you don't promote her to girlfriend, let alone wife, until you're sure that these things aren't happening. This is going to take time. This is why you don't marry somebody after a year. This is why you don't marry anybody at all. But this is why you don't have a girl move in after 6 months of dating. All those investments, they come after time. You have to give people time for them to get past the honeymoon phase, and you can see the real them. It's another reason why you can't really vet girls, and you got to do strong boundary enforcement. I've got a great post on my blog. I'd suggest you go check it out on why vetting doesn't work. Well, this is a great example as to why, because this stuff happens later on. Then let's say you get past that and she decides she wants to do something like this. Well, really, when it comes to boundary enforcement, you don't tell her what she has to do. You just say what you are and are not willing to put up with. In this case, I don't date girls that have dinner with guys like that. And then you leave it there. The less you say, the better. Because the more words you say, the more ammunition they're giving her to manipulate your boundary into being a flaccid boundary. And then you've already set the boundary. You've already done your boundary enforcement over time, and this is the real her. Entirely possible she's just ready to move on. Once she decides to cross a serious boundary of yours, well then, you know what you got to do. Hope it was a real boundary. On that note, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll keep them coming, and we'll talk to you later. Cheers.
Morning, guys. I hope you're liking the new video format. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't let me put end cards in here anymore. So I was going to take this time to give a shout out to the over 150 guys right now that are in Patreon. There's new value being added for them every day, making sure they get their money's worth out of it. So come on in, check it out. I know you'll like it and stay.